I was also told that he's had some experience earlier in his birth, and therefore Mark had some. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, can I please, ladies and gentlemen, if I can also just acknowledge the supporting partners.
The Honourable Minister for Health and Medical Services, Rosie Akbar, the Chairman of RMHC, Mark McElrath, the Trustee, Davis from New Zealand, the Board of Visitors, Medical Superintendent, ladies and gentlemen, Bulavanaka, very good afternoon. Today, of course, is, as Mark said, it is quite a significant move in respect of the partnering between the CWM hospital and RMHC, because this has never been done on such a scale before. It's unprecedented. And this again is a very strong indication of how the private sector can work with government to be able to provide a edge, if you like, in respect of providing medical services to ordinary Fijians who come through this particular hospital. And indeed, we're looking at providing these type of increased services in a sort of a more nuanced approach to medical care and aftercare. You know, sometimes when we think about somebody getting sick, we only think about the person who's actually sick. We do not think about the people who may be affected by the person who's sick. In this particular instance, of course, you have the parents who need to be looked after too and need to be provided those types of services, because if, in particular in this case, when you have children who are sick, they obviously need the parents around them. It does help with their recovery, it does help them to deal with the illnesses. It also helps the medical providers, the doctors and the nurses, to be able to deal with the child in a lot more sort of, with less effort, because the parents are around there. If the parents weren't around there, it becomes quite emotionally traumatic for children to not have their parents around, in particular if they're young. So I'd like to thank, of course, RMHC for these wonderful initiatives. As you know, government has been actually investing substantial amounts of money in the public medical facilities in Fiji. You would have seen the budget with increased funding. We, of course, over the past couple of years, increased funding for doctors. We've increased the salaries substantially. The nurses' salaries have been increased substantially. Because it's not only to say to them, please stay in the system, but it's also a recognition of the hard work that they carry out. But it's also the intention is to ensure that we have actual career paths for doctors and nurses in Fiji. Traditionally, we have seen many good doctors, many good nurses leave for other countries because of the fact they did not see specific career paths in the medical profession in Fiji, or did not necessarily feel that they were remunerated enough to be able to stay in Fiji to make a good living. And of course, coupled with that, we're now providing increased opportunities for training, because training is of course very important. We need to ensure, for example, that our doctors become specialists. We give them the opportunities. The government, of course, is funding to ensure that we provide free postgraduate studies at Fiji School of Medicine for doctors who work within the health system too. The other announcement I'd also like to, well, not announcement, but the other issue that I'd like to also touch upon is that we have, as announced, we have also now partnering with the private sector in respect of the hospitals in Lautoka and Ba. We have called for tenders in respect of having a public-private partnership and to provide a particular level of medical services, procedures, surgeries and care, aftercare, that currently is not available in Fiji. And we hope to have that finalized by the end of this year. So by January of next year, you'll see quite a marked change in respect of, as Mark mentioned, sometimes people need to go overseas for procedures. Now hopefully with this public-private partnership, people will need not to go overseas, they can stay within Fiji. Because going overseas is always very traumatic too, because you're away from the families, you don't have your loved ones around, or the opportunity to have them around is actually quite limited, because finances, etc. play a very critical part in that. So we hope to see a number of changes in that respect. This hospital, of course, ladies and gentlemen, as the Minister has informed me, recently over approximately 430 beds, new beds have been actually put in throughout all the wards in CWM. Now these beds, some of these beds are ancient, probably as old as I am, but we have now new beds, 430 new beds. There'll be more beds coming into the hospital, and we hope to carry out such a renewal of the infrastructure, both not just in CWM but also all the other hospitals throughout Fiji. And this can only be possible if we are able to deal with medical services in a modern way, in a modern approach. If you see, for example, many of the ways in which we practice the administration of the delivery of medical services in Fiji has been very archaic, and in fact we're still dealing with some of the structures. And this is why civil service reform is very critically important, to look at new ways of delivering service, look at new ways of ensuring that the focus of our people who deliver service see every single person that walks in through this door as a client of theirs, as somebody they need to provide service to, somebody that actually requires a new level of service. And of course we need to get proper administrators within the health system. Doctors don't always necessarily make good administrators, some do, some don't, but we also need specialists in respect of administration of public hospitals, and that's what we're going to do. So part and parcel of that, of course, includes a lot of outsourcing, includes working together with the private sector. And this is why I think it's very timely that we have the RMHC working in collaboration with the Ministry of Health for the CWM hospital. Because if you do go overseas, even if you go to hospitals like in Australia and New Zealand, where they have the private sector participating with the public sector in respect of having a new level of service delivery to all those people who use medical facilities in public hospitals. So I'd like to thank you very much, Vinaka Makalevu, for this partnership. We look forward to further initiatives. So I think what Mark was saying to you need to go and eat more McDonald's so you can drop in the coins. But it doesn't mean that. You can also just drop into McDonald's and drop in the coins without having to eat that. But thank you once again. I'd like to thank McDonald's also for this partnership, because of course McDonald's has been the conduit through much of the funding that we see today manifest itself in these new facilities we have come to a light. So thank you very much. I'd also like to thank, of course, the President of Trustee here, and I think it's also a vote of confidence in RMHC in Fiji to have the trustee from New Zealand come over, because obviously they do that there too, but to have him, and of course, and hopefully he can also take back some of our challenges and some of the opportunities that do exist here, and perhaps we can see further collaboration with people from New Zealand too. And I think we'd like to, of course, as we've said, government likes to work with different development partners, both from the on a bilateral basis from different countries, but also from the private sector, to ultimately ensure that we deliver good medical services, because if we deliver good medical services, people will be healthier, people will be happier, and of course we become a lot more prosperous. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I wish you a good evening. Vinaka, thanks.
Challenge is to maintain it. That's for us is the. And this looks.
Again, maintenance, maintaining it.